so many of our worries, so many of our fears in life are a consequence of trying to serve two masters. In the 6th chapter of the Gospel according to St. Matthew, Jesus warns us that when we try to serve two masters, we allow darkness to enter our soul. And by allowing darkness to enter us, we damage our spiritual condition, we allow harm, and we commit harm to the soul. And in the 6th chapter, Jesus, of course, talks specifically about love of money, covetousness. Jesus warns that when we pursue money, when we desire riches and wealth, we make money our master. And by making money our master, we become slaves. Slaves not to God, not to goodness and truth, but to earthly wealth, to money, to material things. We allow darkness to enter into us. Jesus tells us that by doing this, we pollute the soul. We pollute the soul with darkness. And this love, this desire for money, really makes us vulnerable to injury spiritually from the world. So long as we pursue and desire only God, the world can do nothing to us. The world can steal nothing from us. The world cannot harm us, even unto death. But when we desire earthly treasures, we make ourselves vulnerable to the impact and evils of the world. Nothing is capable of threatening us when our only desire is God. St. Gregory Palamas warns us that every one of us, in truth, at some time in our lives falls prey to this desire for money, falls prey to covetousness. And St. Gregory reminds us that this covetousness brings about real destruction to the soul. It opens us up to other passions. Covetousness, desire for riches, inevitably leads to greed, to jealousy, to hatred, to a sense of injustice. And St. Gregory warns us that covetousness ultimately, inevitably, leads to unbelief. So we must look, we must examine our hearts, we must root out any love or desire for wealth in this world. Because love of money can lead us to betray everything and everyone that we care about. As St. Paul says in his first letter to St. Timothy, love of money is the root of all evils. All evils. But we must be discerning about the words of St. Paul. We must be careful what it is St. Paul is saying. St. Paul in no way condemns all people who have wealth, have money. St. Paul's warning is about coveting wealth. And we can covet money whether we are rich or whether we are poor. We must not covet, desire, burn with this desire for wealth. St. Gregory says to us, because we are all capable of falling prey to this passion, every one of us must examine our hearts with great honesty. Say to ourselves, is this passion alive in me? Is it this darkness causing destruction to my soul? So St. Gregory Palamas says to us, let us remember the words of Jesus. Jesus warns us that it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than it is for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. And hearing those words, St. Gregory says to us, how many of us truly desire poverty, knowing that wealth creates great danger, puts our salvation at risk? How many of us truly desire poverty? Now, of course, the answer is very few, but the thought for some of us might even prompt fear or even anger. hearing those words, there's a certain resistance that may bubble up in some people. So we have to examine ourselves and face this truth. But as we say, St. Paul is not talking about just wealth itself, but the longing for it, the desire, covetousness. We remember Abraham. Abraham had great wealth, but he used it for God. He used it for the benefit of other people, as many wealthy people have done throughout history. Use it for God and for other people. The fact that Abraham had wealth did not prevent him finding salvation. But for most of us, wealth can lead to a false security and an arrogance. There is an arrogance that breeds in wealth that we must be guarded. Without humility we cannot be saved. That is a bold statement that we read again and again in the Fathers. Without humility we cannot be saved. And money can cause us to feel arrogant, falsely secure, look down on others, feel that we are secure and safe in this world because of our great wealth. St. John Chrysostom says to us that the ability to handle money wisely is a harder skill than any wood or leather or metal craft. It is very difficult. It is a skill few of us are capable of developing or learning. Because invariably, great wealth leads to hope in the things of this world. Riches become our means of security, not God, and we put our trust and hope in those things, not God. And as King Solomon said in the book of Proverbs, he who trusts in riches shall fall. If we put our trust in riches, we will fall. St. Gregory Palamas says, the man who trusts in riches is a fool. When we die, we will know. When we face judgment, we will know. We must not let the riches of this world make us fools before God, fools for eternity. St. Gregory Palamas says that trusting in riches is the single most worldly thing a man can do. Let us think on that, of all the passions, all the things that the world and the body can be involved in that are sinful. Trusting in riches is the single most worldly thing a man can do. Because it is not natural to us. There are many passions that arise from the fallen condition of the body. But the pursuit and the gathering of great wealth is completely alien to us. But as St. Paul says, poverty alone is no good if we crave money. Poverty alone will not save us if our hearts are full of covetousness. This kind of poverty will lead to anger, both at men and at God, self-pity, and of course it can lead to the false idea that God has abandoned us. It can confuse us and deceive us. So just as covetousness can lead a rich man to a false security and make a fool of him, covetous in a poor man can lead him to believe that God has abandoned him, make him angry even at God. We are called to be rich in good works. This is what God wants of us. We will inherit the kingdom of heaven only if we imitate the humility and the poverty of Christ. Christ, the King of Kings. The King of Kings who, in his humility, chose poverty for our sake, who put aside his glory for the sake of love.